Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Women of Golf Show. I'm Ted Odorico, and joining me is LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and we are your hosts. We're broadcasting live every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the blogtalkradio.com network, bringing you some of the best golfers, teaching professionals, and entrepreneurs helping to elevate women's golf. We're so glad you decided to join us this morning, so grab your coffee and let's get started. All right, good morning once again, and thank you everybody for joining us live this morning here on the Women of Golf Show. Again, I'm Ted Odorico, and right alongside, of course, each and every week is LPGA professional and Legends Tour player Cindy Miller, and we are your hosts here on the Women of Golf Show. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Ted. How are you?
How are you doing? Full of vim and vigor this morning, Cindy. Good. I'm always glad to hear your voice on the show. Yeah, and I hope you had a great Labor Day weekend. How was your long weekend?
It was good. It was good. Did a little work, did a little learning. What'd you do?
I actually kind of just relaxed a little bit. You know, usually on the weekends I get busy like you do with a lot of different projects and things like that, and I just said, you know what, I know it's Labor Day weekend, and you're hence the word labor, but I thought, no, I'm going to make this a rest weekend. So I just kind of took it easy, and of course I kept a watchful eye, as many did here in the nation, about Hurricane Dorian, which has been hitting the Bahamas here the last 24 to 48 hours. And fortunately, it looks like, Cindy, it's not going to make landfall here in Florida. It's just going to kind of skirt the edge. But they're now predicting that it's going to possibly hit landfall somewhere in the Carolinas. So our thoughts and prayers are obviously first and foremost with those in the Bahamas that have been weathering the storm the last day or so. And obviously for those that are going to continue to be in its path, and hopefully maybe it'll take a very sharp dogleg right, if you will, and head back out to sea and fizzle away. But we're glad everybody's joining us this morning, and we got a great show for you this morning. We've got a young lady that's back again. She's here actually for her third time. She's won 3 events now this past weekend. Of course, I'm talking about Patty Tavatanakit. She joined us a couple of months ago, I believe, celebrating another win, which is her second win, and she just won this past weekend, making it her third, the Sioux Falls GreatLIFE Challenge on the Symetra Tour. So she's well on her way to getting out for next season on the LPGA Tour, and we'll talk a little bit about that when she joins us. And a little bit later on, Cindy, we're going to be joined by Maggie, the founder of Will2Golf, and she's a 3-time LPGA Tour winner as well. So we're going to talk to her. But first, let me tell you just a little bit about Patty, and then Cindy, just to remind the listeners that maybe didn't join us the first time, and we'll bring her out. Patty is, of course, a native of Bangkok, Thailand. She's attended the Kirapat International School in her native country, was a winner of the Callaway Junior Golf Championship in 2014, and named the 2016 American Junior Golf Association AJGA Player of the Year. She's also a 2-time AJGA winner in 2016 at Ping Invitational and Rolex Tournament of Champions. She also, as I mentioned, she stepped in the winner's circle as a winner this season, her first professional win actually at the 2019 Donald Ross Classic, then captured her second win in July at the Danielle Downey Credit Union Classic, and as I just mentioned a moment ago, captured her third Symetra Tour win this season with the Sioux Falls GreatLIFE Challenge. So, Cindy, let's welcome our very special guest this morning, Patty Tavatanakit.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, guys. Hi again.
You getting sick
Yeah,
of us?
hi. Yeah, exactly. Hi again.
Hi.
Congratulations, Patty. This is win number 3.
Yes, thank you so much.
Now, do you automatically get to go right on the LPGA Tour with that?
No, they don't do the promotion battlefield anymore, so I'm here in Kansas. I'm playing another event, and then I'm going back to LA after this, and then hopefully, I'm hoping for a week off, a good week off, and then I'm still deciding if I should go to Alabama, but then I'll play the last two in Florida. So yeah, that's my plan so far.
You need some rest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let me just very quickly, Cindy, and then we'll get into our discussion. Very quickly put this in perspective. In the last 8 events, Patty has won 3, so she's almost batting 50% success rate in the last 8 events. So quite a feat. And Patty, let me just very quickly say before we get into a little bit about the tournament, you've got to be really, really excited, not just for the win, but the fact that this is your first professional win here out on the Symetra Tour a few months ago, and now here you are just a couple of months later, now you're celebrating your 3rd. That's got to be a little bit of a shock to the system, don't you think?
It is a little bit of a shock for me, but then at the same time, like playing golf so much I've been playing golf so much for the past 3 months that I turned pro, and I've never really experienced that. In my life, I just, like go to school and study and play golf, but now that I'm actually like doing this almost every day, I feel like I'm getting really kind of like used to the game and just more like comfortable on the course, which is good. And I feel like that comfortness on the course like helped me perform better in the sense that like I'm not thinking too much about hitting a shot because like I have more shots ahead of me. So I just think that playing a lot of golf have kind of helped me win a couple of tournaments just because like I'm more comfortable on the course.
Yeah, and obviously your confidence level's got to really be soaring right now. Obviously the first win, it's kind of a, definitely a little bit of a shock to the system. I mean, it's a well-deserved and earned shock, but, then you round it out, like I said, in July with your 2nd win, and that sort of reinforces the first win. But now with the 3rd win, now you can kind of breathe a little bit easier for the rest of the remaining of the season as you get prepared to, as you said, look forward to a promising career on the LPGA as well. Cindy, go ahead. I know you might have some questions as well, so I'll let you go first.
Tell us what you're comfortable with, because it's not that you don't think, it's the fact that you're using your right brain just to do what you've practiced your whole life to do. So now it's all falling into place, which has got to make it easier and a lot more fun. But what is the biggest difference with your right brain just allowing, you know what I mean, just to play golf and have fun?
Yeah. So I'm just gonna compare myself to when I was in college. Exactly 3 months ago, I was at National playing. That mindset was kind of like weird. Like we've been playing tournaments for the whole season, but at the same time, it's like I didn't really play that much golf, and like I don't really know my shots for this week. So like figuring out my shot for the week was kind of hard. Not hard, but like was kind of vague, I think, for my like amateur career. Like, I'm not gonna stick to this one particular thing or drill. For this week, it was just like, like you go out there and you play, you're trying to get out there. But now that I'm like out here, I feel like I'm more focused on what I need to work on and what I need to focus throughout the round. So, I mean, like going back to play box, think box, and memory box that I told you about Vision 54, which has helped me tremendously on staying focused in my shot. But yeah, like here and there, I still complain. I still, have like the negativity around me and complain about the results and stuff. But at the end of the day, each shot, I'm in my play box and I'm really focusing on what I need to be not thinking about, but what I need to be conscious about throughout my swing, throughout my putting stroke, throughout my shot. So that has helped me become more comfortable on the course, and I think that comfortness like kind of makes me worry less about where my ball's gonna go and like where am I gonna make this putt. But yeah, obviously, like I'm still outcome oriented because that's the nature of every golfer. But I would say it's less than what I used to be when I was an amateur. Yeah.
So more focused on the task at hand rather than the outcome.
Yes.
Awesome. We all need to hear that.
Well said.
It's easy. It's very easy to say, but like on the course, yeah, I'm not 100% like that, but I do try to be. I do try to be positive. I do try to just focus on my play box and just evaluate the good enough and great stuff out of it. So it is still a challenge for me to do, and I'm practicing every single round. So gradually and consistently, I'm getting better, and I'm hoping to be a better mental player as well, not just golf skill. So yeah.
Well, and that all needs to happen in order to become, a Hall of Fame player, which I'm sure that's your long-term goal. So
yes,
good for you for
my
staying on, the next shot is, I've got to stay focused here, and if I do that and I complete it, then I'm going to get what I want eventually anyway.
Mhm.
Good job. Ted?
Yeah, well said. I think that as a player, as you develop, your skills, not just on the physical part of the game, but the mental side of the game as well, you obviously become more comfortable and as I said, confident with the shots, but you become more aware of yourself and your surroundings, and you're not really, as you said, Patty, overthinking the process, and you're sort of staying in the moment, getting in the appropriate box at the appropriate time. I just want to point out a couple things about the tournament here, just to put things in perspective for those that are tuning into the broadcast. This, of course, was your third win, as I mentioned, of the season. You actually birdied number 18 in regulation to cap a final round 8 under par 62 and take the clubhouse lead, if you will, at 13 under par overall, which put you in a playoff because somebody a few groups behind you, Yu Jong Son from Korea, drained her own birdie in the final pairing, and you were forced to go back to 18 in a sudden death playoff. So first off, let me ask you, obviously that's got to be a little bit of, as I say, a nail biter. You're waiting in the clubhouse and you're kind of in a position that, okay, the tournament's mine, and then all of a sudden somebody comes up and drains a putt similar to yours, and now you're forced to play off. What do? Do you shift your state of mind at that point, or what happens? What's the process from that point as you get ready to battle it out with the other player?
Well, first off, waiting in the clubhouse, I don't really think that it's mine yet because I know anything could happen in golf. And, yeah, I happened to be on 18 and watched her drain that putt, so it was pretty cool. She's really clutch, and I've known Yu Jong for the longest time. We play AJGA together. We play a couple of Symmetra Tour events together. So, yeah, we're good friends, and she's been playing solidly, consistently for the past a couple of tournaments now. And I'm just, happy for her to see that she's doing well. So when she forced me back into the playoff, I was kind of like, okay, this is going to be fun. But you know what? No matter what, if I finish second, if I win, I'm going to move up the money list. So my goal for the week, my goal that I set for the day has already accomplished. So I just go out there and play golf. It didn't really take me much. Yeah, I would say I just go out there and play golf. And I'm like, okay, let's just play another 18 hole. And another, hole, I meant, on 18. And I happened to make a birdie. And so that was kind of, shocking because I didn't really make putts for the past 3 days. And then that day happened to be my putting day. So it was just kind of, crazy that, how many birdies I've made to caught up with the lead and everything.
Well, and again, let me just put it in perspective for the listeners. The word you used was actually very surreal. You actually didn't expect to get this win. You entered the day 6 shots back of the lead, so you were quite a ways back going into the final round of the tournament. But you obviously hope to play well and climb the leaderboard, if you will, to obviously move yourself, obviously ultimately win the tournament, but to move yourself up that money list. And you had kind of an initial goal, if you will, is you wanted to be the first player out there to win 3 times this year. And as you put it, you very successfully accomplished that goal. And I like this little phrase as well, that hard work really pays off. So, first off, let's go back to the beginning of that statement, and that is you found it very surreal because you really didn't expect to win. Was it because you were far back, or you weren't maybe as confident on that particular day, or what was your thought process?
Well, my thought was, my hitting, there. Like, if I make putts for the past 3 days, I'd be like 6-5 shots ahead of everyone in the field going to the final round. But my hitting's been really good, and it's just like I'm not making putts. And so going into the final day, I was hoping to stick to the same play box and try to sink in the good shots I hit so I can repeatedly do that. And hopefully the putt drops, like 1 or 2, just if I shoot like 4, like 3, or even 1 under, hopefully I move up the leaderboard and hopefully I'll get a bigger check. But I didn't really think about winning at all that day. It was just like it comes by itself kind of. But when I made that birdie eagle, I was kind of like, okay, the eagle's here, and like I'm really superstitious sometimes. So when the eagle comes, I think like something's happening. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait and see what's gonna happen today. Which was kind of crazy because I play with Sophia on the third round, and like she's solid. So I was like, okay, like it's gonna be hard to climb back up the leaderboard again. And like I said, anything could happen in golf, and she didn't really play well the last day. And Yu Jong solidly shot 4 over. Like I didn't really like kind of think about, I have to, make another birdie to climb up the leaderboard, and now that I'm like in the lead. But it was just, it happened so fast. Even like in the front 9, I shot 6 under. Yeah, and it was kind of like, oh, that happened. Like it was really fast. And then I turned it on to the back 9. I was kind of like, okay, just let the momentum going. Whatever happens, happens. Now that you have the 6 under in your pocket, there's no way you're moving down the leaderboard. So just play golf. And then I bogeyed 10, and I dropped another 3 birdies to finish with 1 shot ahead of everyone on the field at the moment. So it was kind of cool to see that I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it adds to your confidence. I mean, it shows you that, even during adverse circumstances, that that you can dig yourself out of that hole a little bit. I mean, 6 under is a lot. 1 or 2 shots, it's a little bit, you've still got plenty of breathing room. You can, overcome that. But 6 shots is a pretty big deficit to have to try and dig yourself out of, especially in a final round. If you had a couple of, maybe if it was in the 3rd round, again, you've got a couple of days to sort of build that back up. But when you're in the final round, coming 6 shots back and then to ultimately win, that's a pretty big accomplishment. And obviously that has to give you, as I said, a real boost of confidence. Now, you mentioned also very quickly, and then Cindy, I'll bounce it back to you for a closeout. You mentioned about, of course, the Battlefield promotion is no longer in play, so you've got to still earn your way back out there. What do you think that you need? I mean, you're in, I think, the number 2 position with the Volvic race for the card, so you're in a very good spot, but anything can happen in these last few events on the Symmetra Tour. So what do you think your game plan is going to be from this here on out? Are you just going to sort of hold the course steady, or are you going to continue to be somewhat of an aggressive player and get out there and try to get the job done again to really solidify your position?
What I'm trying to do now is just, like improve as a better golfer. So yeah, go out there and be fearless, because you will never improve if you play with fear. That's my motto too, and I just think that, you know, whatever you do, like, you just gotta invest your time and energy in it. So, well, right now, technically, I'm working on getting my swing right and my putting stroke on a good tempo. So I'm just gonna keep doing that and keep focusing on that and put that in my play box. Especially with putting, it helped a lot. I'm just gonna keep having the right play box and trying to improve my memory box, as in I will probably try to be better at sunking in like good shots and what was good about each shot, and just kind of move on from there. In terms of goal, I'm second in the money list, and Karine texted me on the last day after I won. She was like, okay, now you secure your card. You can chill down, or you can, so she told me I can chill down. But for me, I think it's not just that. It's like it's not the end of the road yet. I have 4 more tournaments to play, and of course, like every time I'm out there in the field, I want to beat everyone deep down, but not like figuratively.
Right.
So I just maybe another win would be great. But now that I have 3 wins out here, I'm pretty in a smooth sailing position. So I'm just gonna go out there and play golf and try to be a happy golfer. But in terms of goals, now, I'm only like $3,000 behind Perrine. So let's see if I can catch that and become number 1 at the end of the season. So that's a challenge for me. That's a new challenge that I want to try to do. But if I don't get it, then it's fine, because ultimately I just want to come out here and get my tour cards, which I'm in a good position. So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I like too of your comments. I mean, you want to play without fear, and that's important, I think, for anything in life, but particularly as a player out on tour. If you become fearful of everything that you do, then that can kind of put you in a negative position and ultimately hurt you long term. But also, you've got to keep pushing yourself. You've got to keep, you're in the number 2 spot right now, but you're knocking on the door to the number 1 spot. So you're in close proximity of the other young lady there, and you're going to try to push through and volley, if you will, for that position. And I think that's a good goal to have. Cindy, any final thoughts or questions for Patty?
How many events are left?
Well, we have and then we have 4 more left on Symmetra Tour. We have 4 more tournaments left, and there's 3, I think, the next 3 would be 175 grand purse, and then the last one will be 225 purse. So the purse is obviously big, and like anything could happen. That's why everyone's playing every single event from now on, because like the purse is bigger, and so if someone were to happen to win or like finish high, then they'll get a lot of money to move up the money list. So
Got it. Well, congratulations. I'm going to suggest you keep doing what you're doing, because obviously it's working, and have fun and play fearless. And congratulations and good luck. And
thank you so much.
Will you come back when you win on the LPGA Tour?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Anytime for you guys.
Okay, thank you. Good luck, sweetie.
Well,
thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you.
We appreciate it, Patty. Yes, best of luck again, and congratulations on win number 3 on the Symmetra Tour. And keep, as Cindy said, keep playing fearless, and I think you've got a very promising career. You're welcome to come back anytime. So good luck this week, and don't forget to have some fun.
Okay, thank you so much for having me today.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you, Patty. All right, that was Patty Tavatanakit, winner of the Sioux Falls GreatLIFE Challenge just this past weekend on the Symmetra Tour. So obviously she was having a very enjoyable Labor Day weekend, winning out her event. Now, Cindy, I know you, before Maggie comes on board. I know you were busy. What have you been up to the last few weeks?
I went to Pinehurst where I played, and I did not play Fearless. Number 8, yeah, I was trying to help the ball go somewhere. I had some good shots and some terrible shots. I made the cut, but I was not happy with my performance. And then I went to Denver, and I was learning. I'm working with a guy by the name of Pete Vargas from Advance Your Reach, and I'm learning how to grow my speaking business and corporate training business. So I had a very good time out there.
Very good. Well, speaking of corporate training and corporate business, I know we've got a great little promotional spot that we've got lined up here for you, Cindy. So why don't you just very quickly set it up, and we'll play that, and then we'll introduce Maggie Will and bring her out for the second half of the show.
Well, everyone, as you'll hear on the little spot here, uses the game of golf as a business tool. So have a listen.
Everyone knows business deals are made on the golf course. Knowing how to act is just as important as how you hit it. As an LPGA professional and corporate trainer, I offer workshops, seminars, and executive retreats to teach you how to do both. From the back nine to the boardroom, improve your team from the inside out, or Golf 101 for executives might be the perfect fit for your team. Maybe it's time to make some deals on the course. For more information, go to cindymillerinc.com.
Well said. And don't forget, those tuning into the show, to go to Cindy at cindymillerinc.com at the end of the show, and you can find out how to get in touch with Cindy Miller and do just that. So great promotional spot. All right, Cindy, well, we've got another successful veteran, if you will, of the LPGA Tour. In fact, she's a 3-time winner on tour and a long-time tour veteran. Very experienced golf instructor and innovator, former college golfer as well as a college golf coach, and founder of Will2Golf, the most comprehensive online golf tournament search and schedule building site for junior golfers. Leaning on her more than 40 years in the golf world, in her experiences as a player, teacher, professional, and coach, Maggie has built the premier web resource that guides junior golfers of all ages and all skill levels as they create their path to playing in their own opportunities. So, Cindy, let's welcome our very special guest in the second half of the show, Maggie Will.
Good morning, my buddy.
Good morning, Cindy. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm learning so much.
Well, cool. We're so glad you're here. So tell us what Will2Golf is and why you started it.
Wow. Well, it is the world's largest database of tournaments that a junior golfer can play, and that includes everything from 9 holes all the way through the U.S. Open. And we rate those events so that a junior coming out of even PGA Junior League can find events that match their level, and we help guide you from level to level. So that's what we do inside of the site. There's a college piece to that that we'll get to later. But what inspired me to do it was actually my time in coaching college golf and seeing all of the pain points of the junior golfers, of the parents, of the college coaches even. So the database originally evolved around just kids navigating to college, but then I realized there's even a bigger piece is how do I even take that first step to even think about getting there, and where should I play and what should I do? And that's what spurred me to gather this database of over 13,000 events annually that someone can search for throughout the U.S. and Canada, you know, by location, by age, by name, by date, and build a playing calendar in, you know, like 15, 20 minutes. I had a young man in the mountains of North Carolina send me an email after he joined, and I could see right there in 15 minutes he built a schedule, and he said, wow, that was incredible. That used to take us 20 to 30 hours because in the mountains of North Carolina, he had to go into Tennessee, into Georgia, into Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, and even parts of West Virginia to find tournaments to play. So he said his table looked like Golf Central with all of the papers printed out every year and the highlights, and the paper never went away until fall. So now they can do it online and are very happy with the site, and I get that a lot. So it's kind of cool and very exciting for me.
I had no idea that it did that much stuff. So I need to go log in and look at this, because I've got a bunch of juniors right now that I need to have join the site. So tell us how they would do that, because I told one of my kids that she needed to listen to the radio show today so that she could learn more. So pretend you're speaking to a junior golfer right now who really wants to play college golf. What's the first step, and how do they go about this?
Well, joining the site is really cheap. It's very inexpensive. $75 to join, and then it's $10 a month. And as a matter of fact, Cindy, I'm even gonna put a code in, so if your listeners can wait until give me 15, 20 minutes after the show, I'll have a code there for them that they can enter and get $25 off the membership. So it'll only cost them $50 to join and $10 a month. And we're going to call that code CM Golf. How about that? So Cindy Miller Golf, GOLF. We'll let you put it up on your website as well. That way folks can see it. But you got to give me maybe 15, 20 minutes after we get off this call to load that code in there for them. So anyway, first thing, sign up. And once you sign up, you'll get a series of emails that will explain to you how to build your profile, how to find events. We also have a tab right at the top that says Student Athlete Start Here, and, we walk you through the things that you need to do to get yourself organized. You can enter your scores after you've played an event. You can find events that you played in 3 years ago even and enter them into your calendar and put your scores in there so that you can see your year-by-year score. You can see your 5 most recent scores. You can see your 5 best scores. And ironically, that's a lot of what the college coaches are interested in, is how low can you go and how are you trending right now. So we try to show the things that we know a college coach is looking for.
That is awesome. Ted?
Well, Maggie, welcome to the show. I'm Ted Odorico, and thank you for joining us this morning. And I found it very interesting when Cindy mentioned to me that you were going to be a guest on the show. I found it very interesting because, as I'm sure Cindy does, we often get asked by a lot of our junior golfers that, are interested in playing in collegiate golf and ultimately, maybe going on to one of the tours a little bit later on. How do I go about getting the information I need to make an informed decision? So obviously this was sort of the thought process, correct, in putting together this site. At some point you wanted to give a vessel, if you will, to help some of these junior golfers sort of navigate and find their way into that position. Would that be pretty accurate?
Yeah, that certainly would be. And again, that was sort of my first premise, was coming out of college golf and seeing the pain of the junior golfer and the parent when they had come to visit me or we had finally met somewhere. And, it's like, where were you 2 years ago, right? And I'm thinking, where were you 2 years ago? So that was the premise of really the getting started point. And then as I started digging into it, I realized that there was no national database. Every other sport, it's very simple. You sign up for the Little League, and they just literally walk you from level to level. They tell you what to wear, when to show up, and golf is just enormously fragmented. And so my goal was to try to organize that and make it simpler for folks to find one place to go and then start walking them through the levels there. With that being said, obviously there are so many different paths that you can take, to get to your end goal. And that end goal for some may or may not be playing college golf. It may just be, my child plays another sport, and we want to see which sport that's going to be, so we can help them economically find events to play that aren't going to break their bank, and give them a chance to see which sport is going to be my sport, because today's college coach is now starting to go, I like that these juniors are playing more than one sport, whereas a few years ago it was all about specialization. So I think this American developmental model of multi-sport is bringing that sort of back in vogue, that we're going to allow our junior golfers to play some basketball in the winter, or, play lacrosse in the fall and golf in the spring. And super exciting, because I was a multi-sport athlete, and I just, it was just good to get to learn all of that, right? It's good for your brain. So that was, the premise was certainly around what most people's end goal is, playing college golf, but then realizing that everybody may or may not get there, but we can help them, sort of dip their toe in, find events to play, find events when they're going to visit their grandparents for a week in the Ozarks, from upstate New York, or they're going to Florida in the winter, right? And it costs, $450 to play PGA National, when they can sign up and maybe play the Gold Coast Junior Tour, and it'll cost them $25 to go play in a 18-hole junior tournament, right? Meet some kids from another place and maybe learn something that way.
Right. Well said. The other thing, Maggie, that I wanted to ask you, just to go back a little bit, obviously you were a collegiate player and then ultimately went on to be a college golf coach. In addition to obviously having a strong playing ability, what are some other things, just for the listeners out there, particularly the parents that are tuning into the show that maybe have a junior golfer and they're kind of sitting on the fence, the kid's not clear. I mean, they may have aspirations of, getting into a collegiate program, but the parents want some direction. As a coach, what were some of the other things that you look for in a player that might help parents and the child to kind of decide, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is what I know they're going to be looking for?
Well, every coach looks for something different, and every coach looks for something different every day, right? One day it's strawberry ice cream, the next day it's coconut, the next day it's coffee toffee. The reason for that is that the landscape is very fluid. We're talking about college coach managing young adults from 18 to 22, and with that comes a lot of things, right? Boyfriends, girlfriends, changing majors, problems at home, my golf game's falling apart, I don't understand this class, or God, the kids become a rock star and they're leaving school early to go on the tour. So the landscape's constantly changing, so parents get really set on what is the magic, what is that one answer that they're looking for. And if I had to say there was one thing they were looking for, or list a couple of things in order, I would say first thing is scoring, right? They want a junior golfer who's going to come to college and help them, right? So looking at what the team scoring average is, and do you have the scores to help that team? Then you have a fighting chance of getting a return phone call or getting some interest. With now the new rules in place at Division I, where they can't contact you back until junior year and or even take your phone call until June 15th between your sophomore and junior year, that makes things even trickier because at least before you could call in and they could at least take your call, right? So someone could call ahead and say, John is calling, and they would take your call. Currently, I would say the magic sauce is going and visiting these schools as a student. That's what they're really after. They want to know that you want to come there, you're going to stay there, this is your place, whether you play golf or not. And that earns big points with all college coaches. So, just writing to 20 schools randomly and you know nothing about one of them, it's not going to get the job done. You want to
Right.
You want to build buckets of reach, match, likely. Those buckets, those schools can change within that. You want to make buckets of Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, and go visit them. If you're definitely dead set that it's Division I or bust, go visit a Division III school. Because one of two things is going to happen. You're going to realize that, hey, this might work for me. Wow, that's surprising. I didn't think that was going to happen. Or you're going to go, oh, my gosh, I am going to work so hard now. Coach has been telling me, Cindy's been telling me to work on my putting, and, man, I am going to work on my putting now because it is now definitely Division I, and I know what I need to do because I don't want to go there. So things are constantly changing on the junior golfer side of what they want. Things are constantly changing on the college golf coach of what they're needing, within their team dynamic. So
right.
this it's gotten a lot trickier now because of the inability to quote unquote communicate. But I've already heard many stories of how folks are getting around this.
Yeah.
But, go and visit. I mean, drive your junior golfer through a college. You can find all the colleges on my site as well. Right now there's 2,170 in the database. I even include some Canadian colleges. I'm adding more of those simply because folks along the border might end up going there because it just fits them. It works for them.
Right.
They have other interests. They don't want to go to Florida, I mean, it's uncomfortable for them. So there are just so many things that you can do for your junior golfer. They're not going to understand what they're seeing, what they're hearing, but they go and do it 2, 3, 4 times. All of a sudden it starts to click. All of a sudden their ideas come on. All of a sudden when that time comes between their sophomore and junior year when they can actually speak to a college coach, they can speak intelligently. And that is a really, really big secret sauce because you'd be surprised. Has Cindy's promo there on learning to speak and how to communicate is so important and isn't always done just by text.
Right, and again, well said. I think the other thing, Maggie, I think the better informed the student is at the early stage, the better experience is going to be. The other thing I want to ask you, and Cindy, I know that we've talked about this many times on the show about the parents' involvement. Obviously, the parents are going to be involved at that stage, but Cindy can attest that she's seen over the years many, many students who parents are a little too involved at times and actually becomes more of a hindrance. As a coach, when you see that happening and you see that there's a lot of undue pressure being put on the student by their parents, how do you handle as a golf coach? Let's say the individual has now become part of your team. The last thing you don't want them to turn into a Rodney Dangerfield and end up, actually enrolling into the school themselves and being on campus with their students. So when you see the parents sort of putting an undue pressure on that child, how do you find balance and how do you handle that delicate situation without really offending the parents and at the same time, creating furta tension? So how do you handle a situation like that where the parents are very aggressively trying to push their kid into a direction?
It's a big red flag for 99.9% of college coaches, simply because the parent isn't there every day to see the interactions, and normally when they get involved, it's because their son or daughter isn't performing up to standards. They've really gotten into a place that is over their head. And so now the parents are trying to save them because the big thing is I don't want my kid disappointed, right? And it's a really tough situation for the now student athlete, for the college coach, and even for the parent and for the administration. So that's why I go back to go visit, because hopefully at some point the junior golfer will speak up and say, wow, I'd really like to go there, but that's scary to me, right? And the other thing that happens, and if you have any parents listening or the junior golfers that are listening, please express to your parents that it's so important for you to do the talking. That's why get the knowledge. Knowledge is powerful. Go see, go look before that opportunity comes. And when you go on the visit, if you get the visit with the college coach, how about having your parents drop you off and say, hey, I got to run to a meeting. I'm going to go grab a coffee and take a phone call, and leave your junior golfer with the college coach for, 15, 30 minutes, whatever. When you come back to get them, if the coach says, hey, so, tell me a little bit about yourself, that means they had a great time with your junior, and now they're trying to get to know you. But sitting there and answering the questions for the junior golfer is just a dead time. It's painful. It's painful for the college coach, and it's painful for the junior even, that, their parents are just overriding them. And that's a red flag, that you might, this junior might really help my program, but my brain starts turning to how am I going to manage this relationship with someone who's kind of my peer, right? Because they're in sort of my age group, and that it can get tough. I can tell you that. So drop the junior golfer off. Get involved when the money's right. When it gets to scholarship time, then it's your turn because you're footing the bill, and now it's time for you to get involved. Right.
Again, well said. And that is a real issue, Maggie, because, there's a lot of parents out there, unfortunately, and it may be well-intended, but, they see their little one as the next rising rock star, if you will, in golf, and, they want to, that success to continue. Maybe they've had some very promising junior wins or what have you that have propelled them and created that interest, but now they've gotten to a point where they've, ramped up their I don't want to say rhetoric, but their attempts to push that child even further. And a lot of times it actually has the opposite effect. It actually causes the child to withdraw from something that, they once loved. Now it becomes a burden and becomes cumbersome, and it becomes, sort of an anti-positive experience. And the other thing, too, and you mentioned this about overriding, I can tell you a number of situations where the student has gone to be, part of a college team, and their parent, again, wants to push them to be that rising star and often overrides what the coach is telling them. They come back and the kid says, hey, this is what we were talking about today. Well, I think you need to be doing more of that. That's also an issue as well, correct?
Yes, it is. It is an issue. And, it's the communication part, which obviously we all need to fix in this course. They're all communicating, whether it be on the golf course or in the boardroom or wherever that is. But you said something that struck a chord, was that, everyone thinks that their child's the next rock star. And I've actually learned in college coaching and in running this website and in meeting all of these parents, you know what? 99.9% of those parents are correct. They really are raising the next rock star. However, they're not going to become a rock star unless they get to the right environment. And I really believe that in the right environment, everyone's a rock star, right? Because you're in the right arena where you can be that. And that's what I hope that by just, I keep going back to this, reach, match, likely, and visiting. That's how you're going to find that, and that's how you're going to give your junior golfer the best opportunity to really flourish. And that's what we all want, right? I want it for every person I meet. Every parent wants it for their child. So avoiding those tough situations, that's how you can really get rid of a lot of this angst and a lot of the issues that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a situation where, again, they have to find the proper fit for them. It may not be a Division I college program that is going to be the best fit. It may be a 2 or 3 or something else. And the student is the one that's going to know what best suits them, not the parents. And if they're pushing and prodding, I mean, it's okay to push a little bit or I would rather use the word encourage. But I think the student ultimately has to make the decision what fits right for them. And if the parents are, sort of over-influencing their decision-making and answering the questions, as you said, with the coach and not letting the student do that, then it gets to a point where the student really isn't doing anything. It's the parent. And then they're not learning from that experience. And, when disappointment comes at some point, which it all does for everybody, they're not going to know how to handle it because, mom and dad aren't there to sort of bail them out. And it just creates further problems. Cindy, I know you've got some other questions for Maggie as well, so go ahead.
If there were parents of junior players or junior players right now listening, what would be the number one skill that that all coaches would like to see in a prospective player?
Number one, well, this is going to be a little bit hardcore in the answer, but obviously, if you can help that team be better, meaning your scores are going to help that team scoring average, and I'll explain that 75 in junior golf is not 75 in college golf. You might be that one in a million who actually goes to college and adapts well, and actually your scoring average does go down. I actually, in my time coaching, found one player who did that. But for the most part, your scores are going to go up because you're away from home and, you're playing against, all of a sudden now you're the little fish in the big pond against the 22-year-olds or 21-year-olds. So for the most part, you have to imagine that your scores are going to go up, and that's a little bit of how a college coach looks at it. If you're shooting 72, they think you're probably going to be 74, 75. So really you want to be able to say, hey, I've come here to visit because I think I'm a fit and I'm trending in the right direction. And as a matter of fact, I've already done some things that hopefully can help your team, right? But then how do I get there is short game, short game, short game, short game, short. Did I say short game? Short game. It's just so important. I don't think any junior golfer leaves an interview with a college coach that they don't say, hey, get your short game better, because at the end, that's the magic at the end is you can save a bad day and you can make a good day great. And so having a sharp short game goes a long way with these college coaches. And your scoring, right? Because your scoring is going to be better.
So
right.
let me ask you
well
this.
said.
Even if you're a jerk, I have a situation that, of course, I'm not going to put any names to it, but we know a student who is now on their third or fourth college.
Yep.
And no one, because they think they were left king. And so I just think that, yes, you want someone to help the team, but that would mean more than just a score. Do you ever find that there's lone rangers who are really good players and everyone on the team hates them?
Well, yeah, it does happen, right? I mean, with the right coach, I went to Furman and Mick pitted us against each other every day. But, back then you could do that. Nowadays, everybody's got to get along. And, I think that, coaches tend to keep looking for the same team dynamic, absolutely. But, when you're that good and you're that good, if a coach gets desperate, they'll take a chance, right? But they do want to know that you want to be there in that school, and that you have your reason of why you want to go to that school, and that you're gonna have the coach's back, right? But not everybody's gonna have every coach's back. But yeah, sometimes that's why one of the deciding factors on I got the number 450 ranked, in which I hate these rankings, but anyway, I got the number 450 and I got the number 100. And the coach takes number 450 because they got to know them, they trust them, they see their potential, and they see problems maybe with the number 100. But that doesn't mean the next coach might not get along with number 100. I don't, that goes back to the strawberry ice cream, vanilla ice cream, and coffee toffee, right?
Got it. Thank you. That helps a lot.
So, I wouldn't say no, never, but I would say probably that's going to be a problem, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's got to be about fitting in, as you said. I mean, you might be a phenomenal player, and obviously you would be an asset to the team, but you have to learn to get along with your teammates as well, because it's not, it's not the same as playing as an individual out on the LPGA tour or some other tour. Now you're part of an organization and you're there to represent. And if you're trying to play your own game to the point where it becomes counterproductive or counterintuitive to the overall program, then you're not really, I don't care what your score you're shooting, you're no longer an asset. You become then, in my opinion, a liability. And unfortunately, it goes back to what you talked about a few minutes ago about, the parents sometime trying to impose their will onto a college or university, thinking, okay, well, my kid's the next rock star here, so you need to put them, in your team and let them shine. Well, that's great and that's wonderful, but if the kid comes in with a chip on their shoulder and an attitude, that's not an easy situation for a coach to work with, correct?
Yes. I mean, for the most part, I think in today's day and age, a college coach is going to shy away from that. They're going to, like, as I said earlier, be a little bit on the desperate side. If they have a choice, they're always going to choose the one that they feel most comfortable with. But that being said, coaches feel comfortable with different things. But
sure,
most of them would prefer to have a job the next year. And I have seen it time and time again. As a matter of fact, I'm, right now updating all of our college coach changes. And as I'm doing it, my heart breaks because I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember what happened with that coach. Oh, brutal what happened there. And most of these coach changes are due to a parent, kind of being like, I'll have the last laugh here. And, you're talking about somebody's livelihood where if there's 8 or 10 kids on the roster, 9 out of the 10 are okay, and just the one wasn't, and that happened. So, I won't say that your kid's going to completely get blackballed if you're not, easy to get along with, or your child's not easy to get along with. But, if you can become a little easier to get along with, you might improve your chances of being recruited and have more chances, right?
Right. Well, the optimum point here really is you're part of a team now. It's again, obviously, you're playing somewhat as an individual, but you're part of a team and an organization, and you have to, become a well-oiled machine, and that takes time and development both by the coach, but also there's efforts have to be made by the players as well. And if they're coming in there, as I said, with an attitude or an expectation that they're going to be, thrust into the forefront, then that creates problems not only for the coach, but the other players as well, because then they're not feeling comfortable and having a good experience, and that's not fair to them. So, you just have to really, I think as a parent, you have to take a step back and say, okay, I'm going to let my child go there, and I'm going to let them, be the best them that they can be, and I'm going to stay out of this, and I'm going to do my best to give them, direction, if you will, but not to the point that it's going to impede the efforts of the other people involved. So some great advice, and I think, Maggie, I think what you've got here with your Will2Golf website is really great for the industry as a whole, particularly for junior golf. I know a lot of parents always wonder, well, where do I start? How do I go to do that? So very quickly, if you wouldn't mind, as we wrap up, just let the folks know the website, and also mention again the promo that you're very generously offering to the listeners of the show, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, so it's www.will, W-I-L, the numerical 2, golf, GOLF.com. And the promo code is C for Cindy, M for Miller, GOLF. And if you could just give me maybe say till 10:30, I'll get that loaded in, and you can go there and sign up. While you're waiting, we have tons and tons of free information. You can sign up for a trial account, which is perfectly free, and play around with the site and see how things work, and then you can upgrade from there with your promo code. If you have any questions, I'll welcome your phone call at 804-432-5034. You can find that on the site as well. I'm just, out there trying to help junior golf, trying to help things make things easier. It's been a passion project for sure. That I just growing and growing every day, and I feel like the more folks we get involved, the more folks can help folks, and do it where there's more opportunity for all. There's a community here.
Right.
Thank you
again, well said.
so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maggie, for not only joining us, but for doing what you do. I mean, as I said, there's a lot of, not only junior golfers, but parents out there, too, that are confused at what's the next step and where to go. So obviously they can visit your website, Will2Golf.com, and explore free of charge some of the great opportunities there, and then make an informed decision to become a member of the site. And you're going to give us a great opportunity for the listeners by entering promo code CMGolf. Give her a little bit of time, folks, to get that code implemented, but visit the site anyways. In the meantime, Will2Golf.com. Maggie, thank you very much for joining Cindy and I this morning here on the Women of Golf Show. It's been a pleasure, and we hope you come back and visit us.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Have a great
All
week.
Right. All right, that was our very special guest, Maggie Will, the founder of Will2Golf.com. Again, visit the site, and after the show, give her a little bit of time, but enter promo code CMGolf into the area provided, and you can join and save $25 off the regular subscription price of $75, and it'll become $50, and then just $10 a month thereafter. So thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. Congratulations again to Patty Tavatanakit for winning the Sioux Falls Great Life Challenge. And Cindy and I will be back next week with another great discussion with our guests here on the Women of Golf Show. God bless everybody, and thanks, Cindy, as always, and have a great day.
Thanks, Ted. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening this morning to the Women of Golf Show. Tune in live each week by visiting blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf, or on any of these social media platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, CastBox, TalkStream Live, and of course Spotify. If you can't join us live, check out our on-demand section for previously aired broadcasts. To get updates for future shows and upcoming guests, you can follow us on Facebook at Women of Golf. You can also follow me on Twitter at Ted and Buck CEO, and Cindy at Cindy Miller Golf. Please remember to join us next week on the Women of Golf Show. See you next time. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.